we can develop a class hierarchy by putting common attributes and behaviors of related classes into a single class called the superclass. And this avoids repetition between classes. So in this case, we have a shape being the superclass, and classes that extend this superclass are the subclasses. So for example, a triangle or a rectangle is a shape, and these subclasses draw on the existing attributes and behaviors of the superclass without repeating these in the code. So when we extend this subclass from the superclass, we create an is-a relationship from the subclass to the superclass. So in this case, a rectangle is a shape, but a shape is not necessarily a rectangle. And similarly, a triangle is also a shape. So this can also be visualized as a parent-child relationship, where the superclass is the parent, and the child classes, being the triangle and the rectangle, inherit from the parent. And these hierarchies can become quite complex, so they need to be designed carefully. And for example, a triangle would have a base and a height, and a rectangle may have a length and a height. So the common attribute height can instead be put in a superclass. And these subclasses inherit the height from the superclass. And a triangle and rectangle may each have a method to calculate the area. So these two methods are different for the triangle and rectangle. And we can also place this method in the shape superclass. So effectively, the methods calc area in the subclasses are going to override this method. And we'll look at this in more detail later on. So let's look at some code to understand this a bit better. So here we have the shape class, which has our height attribute, and our default calc area method, which returns 0. And we have an accessor and mutator method to return the height and modify the height. So here we use the keyword extends to establish an inheritance relationship between a subclass and a superclass. So here the triangle subclass extends a superclass shape. So a class can only extend one superclass in Java. So Java doesn't allow multiple inheritance. So in the triangle class, we have a constructor that sets the base attribute of the object and sets the height, which is the attribute defined in the shape superclass. And the triangle has a method to calculate the area, which is 1/2 by the base by the height, where the height is obtained from the superclass. So effectively, this calc area method is overridden when called from the triangle class. And similarly for the rectangle subclass, that also extends the shape superclass, and it has its own attribute being the length. And the rectangle constructor sets the length for this object, and it sets the height for this object using the attribute in the shape superclass. And it has its own method to calculate the area, which overrides the method in the shape superclass. So here we can declare a rectangle, which is equal to a new rectangle, and we have a length of 10 and a height of 5.5. So given that the calc area method returns a double, we'll just print that out directly. So I have system.out.println rect.calcArea, and then if we run this, we get an area of 55, which is 10 by 5.5. Now if we try to instantiate another class, so if I say shape SHP, equals new rectangle. Well, this is valid because a rectangle is a shape. But if I try to say rectangle rect2 is equal to new shape, then this will give a compile error because a shape is not necessarily a rectangle. So remember, there is a relationship, goes one way. So a rectangle is a shape, but a shape is not necessarily a rectangle.